Three, two. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sounds Good to Me. My name is Karen Jones, and of course, we have the lovely Yile Lau.
Hello.
Us from Wellington, New Zealand. I am here in hot Las Vegas, even though today it's a lot cooler. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so great to be here. We try and do this once a month, and I think we are still on schedule. I don't think that we're that off. Maybe
Doing pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, we've been pretty regular about it. So, yeah, what frequency are you plugged into is our theme for today, but of course that could veer into many other directions, as we well know. So how are you doing today? How's life in the cold?
Sorry. It's pretty, it's a sunny day, thank goodness. And we always like talking about the weather, don't we?
I always talk about the weather. It's the you know, what do they call it when you getting comfortable with everybody? You're breaking.
Yeah, that's a very British thing to do as well.
Yeah, it's breaking the ice.
I'm doing good. It's interesting when I saw your this is Karen's idea, the heading, and I love it because it's like there's just so many ways we can go with this. With what frequency are you plugged into? And I feel quite amazing, so I'm plugged into the energy of feeling amazing. But I have noticed, and I'm aware of other people plugged into other things going on that are in the news or the activities that are going on around the globe. So it's interesting what people decide to tune into.
Right.
And it's interesting to see what I'm tuned into immediately, and also what my close circle of friends are tuned into. So it's almost like I'm tuning into them, tuning into whatever they're tuning into. So it's interesting, this kind of thing. So yeah,
it's like multi-level marketing, right?
Multi-level marketing with the news, the snooze.
Right. So many different levels. Well, that's you know, it always comes in. I always think about that. Everyone's point of view. Everyone has a different point of view, and they're looking at the world from their frequency, what they resonate with in terms of frequencies. Because you'll have, just like kids growing up in the same family, they go through the same experiences, and yet they don't remember them at all in the same way, because they have a completely different way of perceiving, and their frequency, the frequency they plug into is just different. Everyone is different. So when you can resonate with someone and see that wow, yeah, I saw that too. I'm so glad you saw that as well. It makes you feel less lonely on the planet.
When you were saying that, actually, what came up as well is like what one person heard may be very different to what the other person heard, even though you were all in the same conversation. Like I totally did not hear that.
Right.
I did not hear it like that. What? So I find that really interesting about the projector or the deliverer of a message or frequency, and the receiver of said frequency. And you see this right in conversation. I'm sure everyone's been in that conversation like, no, they didn't say that, did they? I'm sure they meant turn left.
Right. But and then this goes to show you that nobody, that you're not really wrong. Because a lot of times we'll go into the wrongness of ourselves because we perceive it, or we heard something different, or we saw something different. And then you're like, well, why am I the only one who saw that? Because you are unique, and you have your own perspective, and you have your own belief systems, and you have your own way of looking and perceiving things, even though you'd like to consider yourself to be a part of the structure of this reality. It also is really very unique to what are you aware of, right? What is frequency, right? I was watching Dr. Joe Dispenza yesterday, who's been doing some really amazing work recently with really creating miracles. And he's been just exploring more and more meditation. And he's discovered that there are certain clue words that turn things in people's minds. It's really very, very cool. But one of the things he said that popped out for me was that energy are frequencies. So you've got this amazing spectrum, like that gets very, very complex of frequencies, right? And he said those frequencies is information. So all of those different frequencies are pieces and bits of information. And then I think of Abraham, and Abraham says that we have, you know, our eyes are constantly translating frequencies. Our ears are translating frequencies. Our touch is translating frequencies so that we can have this reality. So it kind of like really like, wow. So it's almost overwhelming to consider how much information we receive in any given moment, and are translating into a way that we can somehow comprehend and somehow create our lives. Really, really amazing stuff. Sorry, that's just like mind blowing to me. I just got the sound meditation, by the way, so I'm a little bit high from my sound meditation. It was a crystal bowl meditation. Awesome.
Thanks for bringing that energy through. Like, woo, nice. Yeah, what is it that, I guess if you're saying all those signals are available to us, all those frequencies are available, what is it that makes us pick or tune into certain frequencies? Is that, you know, is that the kind of...
Right, exactly. Because if you're upset, if life isn't going the way you want it to, basically, or there's that one thing that you've been trying to change for years and you can't seem to change it, you really have to ask yourself, well, what frequency am I plugged into? Because if you're repeating something, that means you've got that plug, here it is, and there it is. I'm going to plug right back into it. Oh, I'm going to plug right back into it, because there's something about that frequency that stimulates something for you. Otherwise, you wouldn't choose it, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you shift a frequency? And I think that's been a big question for a lot of people over the years. There's a lot of unhappiness on the planet because they don't know the tools to shifting frequencies hasn't really arrived officially, because we're constantly putting band-aids on everything.
Well, that's it. It's what prompts us to actually want to change, because I feel that, you know, we can ask the panel this as well. It's like, well, you know, is there some event that triggers us to actually prompt change? Because otherwise, we're, like you said, we must have some benefit in choosing the frequency we're plugged into, until it, I guess, no longer works, or it breaks, or something happens to go, oh my gosh, you know, we need to do something different, or I need to do something different.
Right.
And that whole, I guess we continue until what somebody doesn't work.
Right. Well, a lot of times people don't even ask the question. They're just like, oh, I hate this. And they keep creating it more and more solid and more heavy. And then something horrible has to happen before they finally say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. That's usually what most people do.
It's like, I think I was watching Kyle Cease, a comedian, stroke kind of, he has this thing called Evolve Out Loud, and he says we're all addicted to limitation. We're all limitation addicts.
It's true. It's like, wow, look at this. I keep limiting myself. Isn't this funny? No, it's not funny. Get over it. Well, luckily, there are lots of tools out there, and you just have to find the right tool. But if you don't ask the question, you don't ask for what you want, then how can you change the tuning on your receiver, right? If you're the receiver, right, you are your own radio. And when you want to do something, like let's say you want to learn about how to macrame. So you'll Google macrame, and then maybe you go to a local meeting group. You'll discover, oh, there's a group that's meeting next week. So what have you done? You've asked a question. You Googled it, which is asking a question in terms of, you know, the tangible, and you go out and you create it, hopefully. And or if it's something more personal, like how do I improve my relationship with my partner? How can I make that better? You might look up a therapist, or you might buy a book. So we have these tools that we turn to other people who have been hopefully through the same frequency. And frequency, it's such a great word. It's called frequency because you keep repeating it. It's, you know, it's frequent. It's the frequency, you keep repeating it.
I frequently see, yes.
So, and then you have people who are looking for something alternative, quote unquote, lots of alternative, holistic ways of looking at things. Like people are getting sick and tired of the medical industry. because they're constantly just taking care of the symptoms and never going into something a little bit deeper. Has there been perhaps a request from around the world for, let's go a little bit deeper? Let's stop doing surface stuff. Or maybe that's why people are so upset with politics right now and all the other things that are going on the planet, because
that's an interesting point, actually. Are we almost looking for something else, and we're waiting for the something else to show up before we can choose it? And it's like, I will only choose, I only know that exists, and I keep choosing channel 1 because I know only channels 1 to 10 exist. So it's like, how do the channel Eden doesn't exist yet. That doesn't even mean a thing.
Right. How do I access channel?
How do I plug into that? That doesn't exist. And I guess is that the pattern? No, we keep telling ourselves, well, it doesn't exist yet.
But you know what's funny is that usually it's a small group that's already on that frequency.
Exactly.
And then everyone kind of like follows along. It's just like, what was it, 150 years ago, women were not allowed to vote. They didn't have a say. Abortion wasn't even a concept. So the point of view at that time was part of the overall collective consciousness. And then it shifted. So there was a group of people that said, no, we're going to shift this. We're going to change this. And so then everybody else kind of like fell into place.
So I guess those that people like calling the pioneers or the way showers,
right,
of the world, or the early adopters.
The ones who were considered pretty friggin' crazy. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, they're nuts.
Crazy people.
Right. Exactly. Don't listen to them. They're absolutely crazy. Like even us talking about frequencies right now. What does that mean?
I really like the idea, not the idea, I can't remember who said it now. Lots of different people have said it, like including Gary from Access Consciousness and Abraham. And it's like what if everything already exists?
Yeah.
We've already done it, and it's just up to us to tune into it. Like you said, what if everything's already happened or exists in some way, and it's just us choosing that choice to go, I wonder if purple elephants on pancakes exist. We just thought of it, so maybe.
Right. It's like time is just a construct, something that we've created because it slows it down. Maybe there's something about slowing it down to get to it that is exciting for human beings or for anybody in this reality. This is what I'd like to create. So you have an idea, you have a goal, you have a target of where you want to go. And then you're like, okay, if you ask for it, okay, I'd like to go here, please. What's it going to take to go here? And then you have to go through kind of like these steps to finally accept, oh, yes, that's the frequency I want to plug into. And you start to meet people who are doing that. And then,
your vibe tribe, I call them.
Bing, 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 bing. What did you say?
Your vibe tribe.
Yes, your vibe tribe. I love vibe tribe. That'd be a great name for a band. I would go see the vibe tribe. Right. And what kind
do
of
any of the ladies want to comment on this? We have Pamela and Sophia.
Yes, and welcome, by the way. If you'd like to come, you're welcome to. No, we don't want to put you on the spot. But you are.
I'm thankful to just be listening in and understanding all that you're discussing right now. I'm very familiar with every name that you've mentioned so far.
Oh, cool.
It really resonates with me as far as tools that I know I use daily.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And that's part of this whole new era of evolution. Yay. Sweet.
I'm just you trying to figure it all out.
Okay, sweet.
Oh, great! Really grateful that you're both online joining us.
Yes, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
You obviously plugged into our frequency.
It caught my attention. I shared it with a few people, and Pamela is constantly working with me and doing things to improve daily, and all of the frequency that we remind each other what else is possible. I'm up in this upper area, and she gets me grounded into my body. So I'm very thankful to have her in my life.
Awesome. So there's a little bit of earth energy going on there, huh?
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. Yay, you need people like that in life.
I like the way you use the word, Sophia, the word resonate. And I was speaking to my partner about different people we come across, and that whole exploring, you know, who we get on well with or resonate well with, and some we don't. And like, so what's that? And he said, oh, well, you know, what about think of it as like clusters of different groups, and perhaps you're, you know, the vibe tribe is like there's not a wrongness because you don't get on. It's just like you're not on the same vibe, you're not on the same frequency. It doesn't mean they're any less or better. It's just that you're just playing a different tune, and
Right.
go and find your song that you want to jam with, and just find the people that you do.
It's almost like it's like a movie. Okay, so everyone has their own movie, and you obviously you're the star of your movie, and then you have your co-stars, and then you have the extras in your film, and they're in the same frequency, but they're not participating in your film. But they're extras in your film, and you're extras in their film.
Yeah, I like it.
And there's a harmonic going on based on that idea, which is pretty cool.
Do what I really notice? It's like that. I guess to bring it to a I guess everyday thing, like everyone uses Facebook. I really notice what comes up in my feed. And it's like, what am I plugged into in the news stories? And I hear sometimes like my friends or the partner, and like, oh my God, this is happening. I'm like, really? It's not on my...
I choose for that not to be on my feed.
Right. Talk about.
And it's interesting that I see Facebook as a real, you know, that whole reflection back to what I'm plugged into and what I'm choosing to plug into. And there's an occasional... interesting news that I wouldn't normally go to watch, but I know it's going on, but I'm not buying the story, or I'm not kind of fully engrossed in that world, which I find really fascinating. I don't know about you guys.
Oh yeah, right. It's like there are certain, like I had some people come in from out of town, and I had other things to do, but I did briefly contact them, and it just didn't feel light to go to them physically, so I was able to help them from a distance, but I didn't feel light. So that there's that light and heavy thing, and this is an access tool, but it's a great tool. If something feels light for you, that's more than likely what it's going to create. But if something feels heavy, you might want to think about, you know, if your stomach tightens up, if everything in your universe says, don't choose this, please don't, because more than likely it's not going to create something that's fun for you. You know, and is life supposed to be fun? I don't know. Some people I think it's supposed to be miserable. You know,
they enjoy being miserable. They get a kick out of.
What? What was that?
Might.
Oh my God.
But it's so true. And I guess how often do we don't listen to that kind of thing, and then we try and make it fit, like, oh, I didn't want to let them down, or blah blah blah. And it's like, actually no. And it's okay, because then you going back to, like, if you're honoring yourself with your choice and that following that lightness and your frequency and your channel,
yes.
I guess it will bring in the appropriate support actors and key actors that are gonna be a contribution to your play and to your film, right?
Yes, exactly. But if you're not, you have to really be willing to receive, because if you're not willing to receive it, it is not going to show up. There's the infamous
that's a vibration in its own.
Right, exactly. If you don't, it's like having a target. If you don't even shoot for the target, at least shoot for it. And if you miss, you can shoot again. You know, that you're never limited to just one shot. Hit me with your best shot. So yeah, I think it's important to have lots of targets, because then you can have fun. You know, waking up and starting your day with, what are you plugging into as soon as you wake up? Most people plug into the list of things they have to do, mind you. It's, oh my God, I had that argument with my boyfriend last night. It's still in the air. I mean, you know, just immediately to the stuff that's not working, what's wrong, you know. there has to be some kind of a way to start the momentum of your day. We always come back to analogies in music terms or in sound terms, right? You get into that rhythm and it's like it takes off. It's like a horse that's galloping on that same rhythm, and it keeps picking up speed until you are like exhausted or you go crazy.
Yeah.
And why do we put ourselves through that? It's like insane. What is the value of holding on to that frequency and catapulting it to a rhythm that's frenetic and impossible to control?
And it's so important that that I think Abraham talks about that momentum of that, and we can actually switch the frequencies quite easily. Because I know I've been there it's been quite noticeable these last few months. It's almost like this big contrast I've been experiencing of the real low lows. But I'm getting also that it feels like, it's like a paper cut. It feels like it's mega, but it's not. It feels painful. But yeah, I'm so grateful for the tools that I have to kind of, now hang on, what do I love about this frequency? So I allow myself to wallow or whatever it is to have a go and knowing that I can choose something else quite quickly. And I actually couldn't get to sleep last night, and instead of going, oh, I can't go to sleep, and and I was up till like 4 a.m.
All right.
And so I'll just get up, and then I decided to tune in and get plugged into my guides, my team, and had a good old journal, and I felt really good. So it was kind of like I plugged into this other, reality and possibility, rather than, oh, I need to get to sleep. I can't get to sleep.
How does it get any better than that?
How does it get any better than
So
that?
how much more fun can we have when we decide to go, well, what can I tune into now? And what can I do with this space, rather than plugging into, I need to sleep because it's dark.
Right, exactly. Instead of following the same patterns that are happening. And what if that's your body communicating with you that there's something else happening, that there's something else going on? Right?
Yeah, and it really set me up for the day, and I just had maybe a few hours sleep, and then it felt really good and natural, and I've just had a really awesome light day, and it's just like, whoa, okay, cool.
Yes. And it's interesting that even in music, like when you're in a place, right, you're in some frequency, and you'll pick a music that will perpetuate it. Right. So a lot of people say, oh, wow, this song reminds me when I was 20 and I love to play this song because it takes me back in time. And I'm like, yeah, but today that song for me doesn't work. Whereas if I listen to it maybe a week from today, it might work. So your frequency is always shifting and moving. What do you acknowledge about yourself with that? Because there's some songs that are going to put you in a place where maybe you don't want to be. So I always think about the music you're listening to.
That's a really good point, because I remember back in uni, that's 20 years ago. And I used to listen to hard house, which basically sounds like bleeps and whistles, and I couldn't listen to that. But at the time, it really contributed to my life, because I was really into it and dancing for hours, and that was so appropriate then, and anything else was just nonsense to me. But if I listen to that now, I don't think I could.
It really is a resonance. Even your age group, quote unquote. I mean, you look at the different, like you look at the music from the 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s. They have their own vibe. Yeah, and you can, and then the let's say the younger generation, or the people who are in their 20s, the people who are in their 30s, the people in their 40s, they all have this distinct generational stuff. I mean, then of course you can attribute that to the stars, which is a whole nother level of frequencies. And if you've ever spoken to a really good astrologer, they have a very keen way of interpreting those frequencies. It's like an art. Really.
Wow.
Really, have you ever met an astrologer who looks at it from an intuitive, artistic? It's artistic because they have so much information, but they blend the information in a way that is just harmonic and balanced. And wow, how did you see that?
That's a real That's beautiful.
Like that. Yeah.
Mm.
So, what do you know? What do you know about frequencies that you haven't allowed yourself to know, that if you would allow yourself to know it, could literally be the greatest tool you ever had to changing your life? That was a good question. I don't know where that Very cool. Everything is about that. Right, wrong, good, bad, on iPod, box, what's supposed to be on. For those of you who don't know, that's a little bit of access consciousness.
And how much ease can we have operating with different frequencies? Because I just thought an image of, like, again, we're using the radio station analogy, but you can operate in a wide spectrum. Don't know which way you want to do it, multi.
Consciousness.
And it's having that like again, we're referencing accents quite a lot, but it's the allowance of all, rather than I'm operating at this higher frequency because I'm a snob. No, I mean, yeah, but there's I guess a lot of people are operating at a certain frequencies, and then when they go to a different frequency, it can be quite jarring, or oh, I haven't heard this for a while, golly. But it takes a while to just get used to it and be an allowance of it, and then I guess it comes back to just preference of, actually I'd like my vibe tried back. And so
it's always choice too, right? Because yes, if you're working with people, you have to, if you're working in like a therapeutic environment, you do have to be able to perceive someone else's frequencies, what they're plugging into, or you won't have any awareness of what it is they're going through, so that you can help them or give them tools, right?
Exactly. Otherwise, we kind of maybe brush over those things.
Right. But just because you can have an awareness of something, you don't have to like make it yours and and make yourself crazy either.
Yeah. No, don't make it yours.
Because you know how when people commiserate, what a horrible word, right?
No.
Someone is in total misery and you're going to be in the misery with them. Please don't do that. No. The frequency of misery is pretty miserable. Don't.
Well, I guess there's a balance or a kindness, and then there's the opposite end of, oh well, that's an interesting choice.
No, yeah, you could still be. Yeah, okay. I see what you're talking about, and what can we do to change it? Or sometimes people like to play in the mud for a while. Okay, you want to play in the mud for a while? Go ahead and play in the mud. You are allowed. That's the joy of this reality, is you do have a choice. You can play in the mud, get completely dirty to the point where you smell, and then you finally take a shower and say, okay, I'm not going to choose that anymore, at least for a couple of weeks.
I think that's the hardest thing for people to realize, that the allowance that everything is valid in this reality. Doesn't mean we are condoning it or agreeing with some of the things, but it's like, okay, let's just find the space of allowance, and then make sure we're singing and playing with our own channel.
Yes. And then you can always ask a question, which is one of the greatest tools ever. And any scientist will tell you, because no scientist does his work without a question. And so many philosophers and really cool people have said, ask a question, right? So what else is possible in this? What else is possible when you get stuck and you're stuck in that frequency, you're unhappy in that frequency, and all you see is that frequency? That's all because you're frequenting the same thing over and over. How do you shift it? What else is possible in this? What else is possible? Where can I go? Who can I talk to if you're really, really stuck? Jump on Google. What is it that you're struggling with? There are, once again, so many tools that are offered with this little device here, even though I would, I don't want to poo-poo it, because it has its purpose. It has its purpose in our reality today. I don't want us to become addicted to the electromagnetic vibe of it. You understand what I'm saying? I would love for us to transcend that and really get to a more, to get like to look in someone's eyes, like we're looking at each other right now and seeing people you know, instead of just sending words back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly that myself asking a question.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, like, instead of relying on Mr. or Mrs. Google,
Right.
you kind of maybe have those moments where you're actually tuning into self, and before you even finish typing questions, like, oh, I know.
That's it. That's it. You said it. It's like, it's tuning in. How do you tune into your own radio? You have to tune in. And even if you're a little bit ADD, which there's a lot of that is prevalent these days, or a little bit autistic, there are many different ways to tune in and still tune in, even if it's only for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Oh, look at Kitty. Hi, like the cats. They don't have a problem with tuning in. Neither do dogs. He's like, no, leave me alone. When you tune in, and even that's why sound is so cool, because there are like so many frequencies you can just tune in for like a minute and already it will shift your world. Just listening to something, one tone will shift your world. Both Yile and I work with sound. We met, in fact, at a sound intensive in Colorado a couple of years ago with Mr. Jonathan Goldman, amazing pioneer of sound healing. And we discovered that we're both practitioners of the bars and access consciousness. So we had like a few experiments with sound and bars, which is fun. We need to do some more of that, by the way.
Absolutely.
And there are so many different ways of expanding and growing and connecting, and tuning in or making sound. Even your voice is so amazing to your body because it's your voice. And so many people don't recognize the potency of their own voice. Like I try to get people, just do this. And they're like, there you go. Yeah, just sustain sound and just close your eyes and listen to your sound and then do that.
Or even humming. Is that back?
You got it. How is it? Is it great?
I haven't read it yet, but
I'm gonna get that too. It's like
humming, yeah.
Humming has become outdated. Nobody hums anymore. There was a time when people used to hum all the time.
I think, so what will it take for us to tune in more to our own frequency? And by using, well, that's one of the ways we use is sound. I find sound really powerful to help me fine tune my radio station.
Yes.
A stronger signal. So,
fine tune your radio station. I love that. That's
the weak signal of me, of my old story, and then I guess the strengthening the voice and the practice and that whole being you, which a lot of people mention.
Sure, right.
How do I be me? It's like, well, okay, well, one way I do it is by sounding and expressing as much as I can without judgment, and that strengthens my voice. And that voice, and so therefore voice in terms of the actual voice expressing, but actually my voice in the world, who I am in the world. And
right. I think that is so cool to fine tune your own radio station. That's just like brilliant. Good for you. I like that. I'm stealing it. So, did anyone have anything they'd like to add before we start to wrap up this really cool conversation, by the way? Thank you guys for bringing your unique vibe and giving us a multi-dimensional view of frequencies and what they can be for us, and plugging in. Oh, I love this. She's got major twirling energy. I love to twirl. I do that all the time. So, yeah, I have a phrase that I got from a guy named Bubba. I know the name doesn't sound so great, but he's very cool. He's from Texas, and he definitely has a Bubba accent. No judgment at all. But it's a Bubba accent. It's a cool accent. I like it because it cracks me up, and then he'll break out into laughter, and he's just delightful. And this is what he says before he starts to speak to people when he's doing his speaking, right? He'll say, please allow me to have the perfect words in every interaction. Please allow those words to be the perfect vibration, frequency, and tone for all living things to understand. Thank you. Now, I changed understand to receive, because I believe that receiving is one of our biggest bugaboos. We have a really hard time with receiving. We're very good at gifting or giving, actually, but receiving is like, oh no, I don't want to receive. No, we need to give and receive. And I love, just change that understand to receive. That's a cute little phrase to remember.
Nice, I like it. If you can write that down when you post it.
Yes,
Give that to me.
yes, I'll put it on the YouTube. This is going to be on YouTube, but I'll put it on the. Did you guys find this through the Facebook
Yes.
page? Okay, so I'll put that on the Facebook underneath in the discussion,
Okay.
so you guys can have it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Yeah, thank you.
Pamela. And Yile, you rock. I'm loving your vibe. Whatever you're doing, keep plugging into that because you look lovely. You sound like you're bubbling there.
I am buzzing. Yeah. Very good day today.
Me too. I'm loving it. Yes. So thank you all for listening. For those of you who are going to listen later, and hopefully there have been some tools in here that you can use that will allow you to plug into a
Plug into a plug.
Jack in somewhere.
Easy for me to say. Plug into that frequency that will allow you to flourish in every area of your life.
Thank you so much, Karen. Yeah, I look forward to the next one.
Yes. Woo. Okay, so we don't know what's going to be next month sometime, but stay tuned.
No. Yeah.
And
Stay tuned in.
Yes, stay tuned in.
Stay tuned in.
Use your internal radio station. Find that sound. Okay. All right, everyone.
Sounds good.
Thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.